everybody, and welcome to Storm Reads. And today I am going to be talking about some goals that I would like to try to achieve in 2022. I didn't really set any goals for 2021. I did start on the series about series challenge about, I don't know, a little bit before like the halfway mark of the year. I think I started maybe in either April or May. I think it might have been May. But I did really well on that, and I will have a video talking about that and then the new uh, SAS challenge or series about series for 2022. It's put on by Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books, and you should check out her channel. I will put it below so you can go do that. She has a really awesome channel. And so that is actually the first goal that I have is to continue working on my series with the series about series challenge. And I'm also wanting to start some new series. But when I start the new series, I can't just read book one. I have to at least continue with at least up to at least 3 books in that series. I don't want to just start book one and then not go back to the series. I do have a list of some of those series that I would like to try. They are part of my series about series challenge. Continuing on with series that I am working on, and then starting some series that I've always wanted to try, but I've not tried, or that I've found through my friends here on BookTube, and they sound really cool, and I want to read them. I think this is probably going to be the year of like the backlist, and I'm going to be going back to some like older series that I've been wanting to try. And speaking of older, the second one I have on here is to read more classics. And I'm not going to put a number on how many classics, because I think even if I read like 3 classics, I would be doing really well since I haven't read very many. But I do want to give it a try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a jar or a tub or something, and I'm going to put all the classics that I can think of that I want to try in there, and then I will draw a couple of them out, and then I have a choice. My problem is that if I make a list of a set bunch of classics or anything like books that I'm going to read, it's why I have a hard time with TBRs. I will always not want to read those books or something. So I'm hoping that maybe if I just draw a couple out, it gives me a choice between, and I can make my choice depending on my mood or something like that. And so maybe it will help me read more. One of the books that I'm wanting to get to is The Three Musketeers. We're also, sometimes I won't draw from my jar if I know there is a book that I'm going to be reading. Like, one of the first books that I'm going to be reading is another book by this author, and that's The Count of Monte Cristo. And I'm going to be reading that one in January. And spoiler alert for my TBR for January. I'm going to be reading that one. So I already know I'm going to be reading that. So in January, I'm not going to draw out anything from my jar or whatever. But any other months that I don't have a particular book set, like maybe I'm going to be doing a buddy read again, because this one is a buddy read. Maybe I'll do it again, then I'll know what I'm going to be reading. But for the most part, I don't know. I'm just going to draw it out and see what happens. That being said, if you have a favorite classic or something, maybe you could comment down below. I have some of the books that I have on my list are from people that have given me recommendations for classics. I just, and I'll be adding to my jar probably as I go. Right now, I've just got a few because these are ones that I know I want to try. But there's so many like classics, and I'm calling it, it's not just classics, but older books in general. So I would say, the classics, but also anything from probably like the 1980s back, I'm going to consider like in my classics / older books. There are some like 80s books that I never have read. Like, I think The Princess Bride came out in maybe the 80s, and I've never read that, so I'd like to try that, and it's going in my jar. But mostly it's going to be a lot older, but there will be a few more modern but older books. And so, yeah, it's just going to be my focus, I think, in 2022 is just older books. I don't know why, it's just what I'm feeling. I haven't been uh when I've been looking for books that I'm like anticipating for the new year, I just really haven't found a lot. My mood is just changing, I guess, and I just haven't found any. But I do know that there's a lot of older books that I would really like to try. So that's what we're gonna do. If you're interested in knowing the classics that I do have on my list, I will make a video for that. I don't mind. Let me know down below if you'd like me to make a video. I can show you the ones that I at least have on my list, and then you guys can give me recommendations for more to put on my list. And then the third thing is probably why it's going to be a backlist 2022 is because I need to read from my shelves. And a lot of the books on my shelves are very old. I just did a haul like not too long ago of like a big romance haul, and I've had a couple of big romance hauls, and there are a lot of older, like probably from like 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and I need to get to reading some of those. A lot of these books that I have here are from probably early 2000s, and they just sit here because then I borrow books from the library or whatever, and then I concentrate on review books and things like that. And so I think next year I'm going to try to lessen the review books, concentrate more on books that are on my shelf. Uh, Elizabeth, again from Lizzie Faye Loves Books, has a challenge called the binge Your Own Bookshelves, and so I'm going to participate in that and try to read some of the books that I have on my shelves. And there are a lot. Let's not go there. There's a lot. And then, speaking of not doing as many reviews, the next challenge that I'm giving myself for a goal is to try really hard not to grab and accept as many NetGalley or Edelweiss books as I have in the past. I've actually did fairly well this year. My problem is I get more than I read, and then they just sit there until I decide to get to them, or then I forget about them. And it's not doing the publishers or the authors any good. So I want to try to just not get as many. If I find some that I want, I can write it down on a piece of paper, and then I can look and see if the library or if I can get it on Amazon fairly cheap. I am a cheapskate when it comes to buying books, I will admit. That's why I go to the used bookstore. But sometimes if you put like a book on your wish list, you can, if you browse that fairly often, you can find that the book has gone on sale, and then you can get it. So I will probably be doing like that, but mainly probably borrowing from the library. So I do want to try to not get as many NetGalley books. That being said, I've already got like 15 for next year already this year, but I've done really well, and I'm trying to make sure that I read them ahead of time, or at least in the same month that they're supposed to be out. And I've already read like 4 books that are for January. So see, I'm doing pretty good. But that's what I'm trying to do. It's really hard when you see something you want and you can just like click the button and see if you get accepted. So I am going to try really hard and utilize my library for books that I am interested in that come out in 2022, and just read books on my shelves, read my classics, binge on my series, all that kind of good stuff, and try to catch up on some things, because I hate when I looked back and like I might make a video on this, like of all the series that I'm in the middle of that I just forgot about. And a lot of them, I didn't forget about them because I didn't like them. I just forgot about them because there was a nice new shiny new book that came out, and so it got kind of put to the back. So I am going to try to not do that and read my books, catch up on my series, read my classics, and I may make videos to kind of help me with these are the books that I've gotten from NetGalley, and so maybe I can go back at the end of the year and kind of see, or so many months, every so many months, and see if I am actually reading the books that I get from NetGalley and not just letting them sit on the shelf. Probably, maybe you'll find it interesting, but probably it's going to be for me to be like accountability that if I get these books, then I need to read these books. That being said, I probably need to make a video about the ones that I've already gotten out so that I can see if I'm going to be reading these in the next coming months. So I'll have to do that. Got lots of things going right now. But yeah, so I think that's probably four very good goals to try to do in 2022. I didn't want to give myself too many goals and things that I wouldn't be able to achieve, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't make them too hard that I couldn't achieve them. Because like even the like reading my series, I don't have to finish the series or catch up to the series. I just need to continue reading on the series. I have some series that there's like 30 or 40 books out in that series, so I'm probably not going to read that whole series next year, but I would like to get a chunk of it done. And things like that. I would consider that goal achieved if I just read 2 or 3 books from a bunch of series. So we'll see how that goes. And so I don't know, are you doing any goals like this? Do you think my goals are achievable? So yeah, that's the 4 goals that I'm setting for myself. Do you have any goals that you're going to work on in 2022? I always like to hear what everybody else is going to be doing because then I get ideas for my own self. I have a hard time thinking of goals sometimes for myself. And so seeing somebody else's goal, it's like, oh, I could do that and do it for myself. I need to try to get better at keeping record of my books and the things that I do and that I accomplish. And that might be a goal that I work on the side, but maybe not like a main goal. I have me some notebooks, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.